Hi there, thanks for taking the time to watch this screencast. What I want to do is run through a script that can be used to create multiple users in an Active Directory environment. This could actually be modified really easy to create local users as well, but we're just talking about Active Directory here. And I think the easiest thing for me to do is just to walk through this line by line, and it'll reinforce some concepts that we've covered in previous screencasts or what you've covered in your book. It'll also introduce some concepts that you haven't been exposed to yet. So with that, let's get started. Line 6, I'll run it. What line 6 does is it creates a variable called domain name, and it assigns it equal to the contents of this string here, itnet112.pri. So from this point forward, anytime that domain name shows up in our PowerShell script, like on line 7 here, PowerShell will replace that name with itnet112.pri. The analogy, or similarly in Excel, if I had a couple cells set up, if my cell B4 has itnet112.pri and if cell C4 has fader P, you could tell Excel to concatenate the contents of C4. It's like a variable with the contents of cell B4. So I could just do C4, concatenate it with B4. Fader P, itnet112.pri. I could also edit that to insert like another string in the middle if I wanted to, so I could put an @ symbol in there. So now I'm concatenating a variable C4 with a string, just has the @ symbol in it, with another variable or cell B4. So if you've used Excel, you're kind of familiar with the concepts of variables already. All right. So one line down, a few more to go. When we create our objects in Active Directory, we're going to have to specify the distinguished name or the exact location of Active Directory of where we want our users to go. So we're going to have all of our users put into an OU, and what I thought would be helpful is let's just take a look in line 10 to see what OUs currently exist in our environment. So I've got a number of OUs. I'm going to stick all of my users in the temp employees OU. Temp employees, where are you here? And the distinguished name is OU equals temp employees, comma DC itnet112, comma DC equals PRI. So basically what we have going on here is we are specifying the exact location of this organizational unit, temp employees. I guess we're actually specifying the exact object. So the object is an OU, and it's set equal to temp employees, and that is in our domain itnet112.pri. I think DC stands for like domain component or something like that. Some nested, it might make more sense with a nested OU, like this West Campus OU. There's an OU called West Campus, and that is inside of an OU called servers, and that OU is in our domain itnet112.pri. Visually, if we take a look at that, let's go to Active Directory users and computers real quick. All right. So the West Campus one, the West Campus OU was, there we go. So I have an OU called West Campus, and that OU is in another OU called servers, and that OU is in our domain itnet112.pri. So pretty much I just have line 10 in there so you get you're familiar with the syntax that we're going to use to specify the location of the OU where our user objects will be created. All right, so line 12 does that. We create a new variable called path, and that is equal to the location of where our objects will be created. Okay, you'll see that the command that we use will actually has a path parameter. So we're just kind of setting everything up here. Finally, line 15, another variable, it's equal to 20. Okay, so at this point I've done three things. Variable itnet112.pri, second variable set to this location here, third variable equal to 20. Easy. All right. Line 18 gets a little tricky here. Lines 18 to 28 all go together. You can kind of tell that by the fact that we have this like plus minus thing here, this region set up. And let me just look at some PowerShell here. If I want to create 20 numbers, 1 through 20, if I just type in 1.20, if I run line 16, object number 1 is created, then number 2, then number 3, number 4, number 5, all the way up to 20. I want to make 200 of them. There we go. 200. Okay. If I wanted to count with my variable instead, yeah, okay, so at this point now I'm going to count from 1 to 20, but instead of actually having to put a 20 in there, I'm just specifying my variable name. This would be handy, like if you're going to use that number, the number of users you're creating in multiple locations. It's kind of nice to create a variable up front, and that way you can always just reference total as opposed to having to type in a 20 in multiple places in your script, especially if you want to change this number along the way. So anyways, line 17 still counts from 1 to 20. Okay. Now, what the heck is going on here? Let me, let's cut this out for now. Cut it. We'll stick it down here for later. All right. So what's going to happen, I'm going to count from 1 to 20. Good. And what this for each commandlet means is the number 1 is going to come in here first, and everything in between these braces here I'm going to do. And then the number 2 is going to come in. And again, everything in these braces I'm going to do. So this won't be too exciting, but I just essentially printed hello 20 times. If I wanted to print it out 200 times, I'd set my variable equal to 200, and I would run lines 19 through 21. Good, 200 times. If I wanted some kind of counter in there to say, okay, hello for the, here it goes. This is kind of weird. It's a variable, and it essentially means a current object. So we have the number 1 coming in here, so this $_ is going to be equal to a 1 the first time through. It'll be equal to a 2 the second time through, a 3 the third time through, etc. So we're still going to do this 200 times, but each time we go through, we're going to print out the current value of this this variable that's being passed into our for each object commandlet. So it might be easier just to see it as opposed to talk about it. All right. Hello for the, this is annoying. Let's just do it 20 times. All right. All right. So what we're seeing here is this $_ means the current, I guess I'll call it the current object. We're creating 20 objects here. Each one of those objects is passed into this for each commandlet, and the value of that object changes. It's a 1 the first time, a 2 the second time, a 3 the third time, etc., etc., etc. Okay. Kind of overdoing it there, but I just want to make sure you understand what's going on. So let's just take the first 2 lines and put them back in here. Let's run it. Let's talk about it first. So the first time through, remember this $_ is going to be equal to a 1, then a 2, then a 3. So the first time through, our variable username is going to be equal to employee1. The next time through, our variable username will be equal to employee2, and so on. And I'm just going to print it out here. You don't need to have right host. I could just leave it in just the quotes, but the right host just tells us to take the following string and stick it to output it to the screen. So output what? This string, which is equal to creating user. It's just a bunch of words. $username. Okay, that's employee1 or employee2 or employee3, depending how far along we are through this loop. It's just an at symbol. Domain name, and we defined domain name up here, itnet112.pri. Okay, so far creating user, it'll say something like employee1 at itnet112.pri, and then just to do it again or do something else, this is user 1 or 2 or 3, whatever time we're coming through here, of total, which is equal to 20, right? We said total here, so let's run this. All right, creating user 1, creating employee 1 at itnet112.pri. This is user 1 of 20, user 2 of 20. So you see what we're doing here. So, okay, we haven't really made any users yet, but we've created some output. So all that's left is the commandlet to create a user in Active Directory, and that's what we have right here. Cut. And we'll stick it in there. These little backticks here basically mean the command isn't over. I don't have to. I could get rid of them, but I'd have like, here, if I get rid of the one on line 23, let me just delete it. Okay, good. So now I just have the first parameter specified. So new user, and we're going to specify a password, and that password is equal to, it's going to be password 01. It's a little kludgy or a little sketchy here, but basically PowerShell doesn't like us making specifying passwords in clear text. And we have to force it to happen. So normally you're supposed to specify a secure password, like maybe use a variable to hold it, and it's encrypted. So what we're doing essentially is taking password 01, and we're using another commandlet to take this clear text and to make a secure string out of it. And just like math, whenever you see things in parentheses, they get done first. So what's going to happen is this will get executed first. We'll take some kind of make a secure password, and that's what we'll use with this account password parameter. Okay. So we're going to specify a password, and then we are going to specify a few more things about that user object. Using a name parameter, the path is where the user is going to reside, the SAM account name, and the user principal name. Let me just open up Active Directory users and computers real quick and talk about the name, the SAM account, and the user principal name. So, you know what? Let me just make a user real quick. New user. All right, so a lot of times, some environments. Here, this is even better. All right. So this full name here is actually would be the equivalent of this name parameter. So this is what you're going to see in Active Directory. This is what you'll typically see when you're looking at the user in Active Directory. When the user logs on, they can specify the user principal name that's been assigned to them. So pat.fader@itnet112.pri. Companies might use the user's email address here. And there's also a SAM account name, and that's what this last field is. And that's what was used in the olden days, right? So when someone logged in, they could put in, you still can, you can put in your domain name / the SAM account name, Fader P. What we have to take away on this is there's different fields that are used when we create a new user object, and we can specify those in PowerShell as well. So I've just showed you that the SAM account name aligns with this field. The user principal name essentially aligns with these two fields here, and the name property right here. Good. So, it's already in use, huh? Oh, there we go. Done. Yeah, I'm not typing. My hands are cold. Let's see if I got it this time. All right, so I made my user. If I wanted to, I could, let's just run line 31 real quick. All right. Line 31 says get all the AD users that are currently in this location specified by path, which is where I just created. That's that temp, the temp employees OU. So what we see here, though, as we see this, there's only one user object in that OU, Pat Fader. Here's my distinguished name. My user account's enabled, and my name property is equal to Pat Fader. All right, talked about that already. My SAM account is Fader Pat. We talked about that, and my user principal name is pat.fader@itnet112.pri. So, anyways, with that said, let's run lines 19 through 29. All right. I think I just made 20 users. And they should be called something like employee 1, employee 2, employee 3. Let's take a look at them. Stop talking about it. So let's go back to Active Directory users and computers. They're not here yet. And they are here. Yeah, sometimes you just have to refresh. So F5 will refresh, or you could just open and close this window, but I'll hit F5. Employee 1 through 20. And this is the name property. Let me just pick one account. So my UPN is employee1 at itnet112.pri. There it is. That's on line 28 here. My SAM account name is employee1. That's line 27. We specify that. And it's enabled. Talked about that already. Well, I guess that just kind of makes sense. It's enabled. And the actual, the name property is what we see right here. Cool. So I made 20 users. And what else can I do? I think we're done. If I wanted to make more, let's make 2,000 users. I could jump back to Active Directory. Let me delete the old ones just to avoid any errors. Sure, yeah. Okay, let me run line 15 to reconfigure or reinitialize our variable to 2,000. Now let me run lines 1 through 19 through 29. All right. So we have now made 2,000 users in Active Directory. F5. And it's growing. All right. Again, thanks for taking the time to watch this screencast. I hope this has been helpful. PowerShell is wildly powerful, and there's just so much you can do with it. We're just scratching the surface with this, but it's how to start. Thanks again. Have a great day.